8 years running. Octopus Energy. This is Classic FM from Global.
Hello, it's time for Next Level, where I'm going to be showing you the best in sports games soundtracks. There might be some surprises in here, starting with this one.
Next Level with DanTDM.
That was Living Football, featured in FIFA 19, played by the Slovak Radio Symphony Orchestra and written by none other than Hans Zimmer and Lorne Balfe. I'm DanTDM, and you're listening to Next Level, where I play music from all over the gaming world here on Classic FM. I'm here every Saturday from 9 p.m, and if you miss it at any point, then you can always catch up on Global Player. As the weather warms up and schools get closer and closer to the end of term, that can only mean one thing: sports day. I wonder if you've had your sports day yet, or if it's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. I went to my 5-year-old son's sports day last week, and it was so cute. My favorite memory of my own sports day is when my mum fell over during the mums race. I don't know why, but there's always one that falls over. That's why I'm hosting an episode all about sports in video games, and it gives me the perfect excuse to play this. That was Rainbow Road from Mario Kart Wii by Ryo Nagamatsu. I'm playing that for William in Nottingham, who got a Switch 2 with Mario Kart for his birthday this month. Hope you had a great day, William. Also, shout out to Benedict and Finian, who grew up with a Nintendo GameCube, playing classic titles like Mario Kart Double Dash and Super Smash Bros. Melee. Hello as well to Sky in Kidderminster, who says, I've played Nintendo games since I was 6, starting with the DS, which is a classic, and Super Mario Bros. And Mario Kart DS. The new Mario Kart has been a blast to play. Have you managed to play it yet? If not, you've got a lot to look forward to, and the new Rainbow Road track is amazing. The music is just incredible too. I hope you guys all enjoyed the Wii version of Rainbow Road. Mario will be popping up later in the show if you keep listening. But next on Classic FM, I couldn't host an episode about sport games without playing this. That was from the original Wii Sports, written by Kazumi Totaka. Wii Sports is one of the best-selling games in the world. It was bundled with the Wii console and showed off the state-of-the-art motion controls perfectly. That whole release was just crazy. They were so hard to get, but so much fun to play. There wasn't anything like it at the time. And before 10 o'clock, we're going to see how video games brought classical music to the world of horse racing, wrestling, and even hiking. But right now, because a huge section of the sports game genre is focused on racing, I had to play this.
Next Level with DanTDM
on Classic FM.
First up, we had A New Dawn from F122, sung by Julie Seachuck, played by the Sophia Session Orchestra, and conducted by George Stretzoff. That was written by Ian Livingstone. And then we had Forza Motorsport by Kaveh Cohen and Michael Nielsen. Forza, in particular, has been a staple in gaming since I can remember. The first one came out in 2005, and the series is still going strong now. I can definitely imagine cruising around to that chilled track. And I wanted to give a special mention to Max in Blackburn, who emailed me via the Classic FM website to say he got into classical music because of my Forza Horizon video, which is so nice to hear. And actually, Forza Horizon 5 has a radio station called Radio Eterna with a DJ called Dolores Martin. On this station, Dolores plays classical music, which I think gives me the perfect excuse to play this. That was Saint-Saëns Danse Macabre, played by the Montreal Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Kent Nagano. And I played that because you can hear it on the classical radio station in Forza 5. You're listening to Classic FM with me, DanTDM, your weekly video game music fix, and I hope you're having a great evening. Shout out to Seth, who says he couldn't wait for my program this evening. He was rushing his parents home to be able to hear Next Level. I love this, Seth, and hopefully you've made it back in time. This next track is a sports game that you might recognize if you've been gaming since the days of the Commodore 64, and it is a crazy one. It's called Grand Monster Slam. It's a sport set in the medieval times where you essentially play ball games against a whole host of fantasy characters. It's kind of similar to dodgeball. Oh, and the balls are alive. And if you remember playing Grand Monster Slam back in the late 80s, then I bet you'll recognize this.
Classic FM.
I've included League of Legends tonight because it represents esports, which have become massive in the past few years across loads of different games. So I wanted to include something to dedicate to that side of sports. That was Sebastian Najan's League of Legends The Challengers, performed by Video Games Live. And before that, we had Grand Monster Slam, opening fanfare, played by the WDR Symphony Orchestra and written by Chris Hulsbeck. It's Classic FM, and our next sports game was a recommendation from Charlie in London. Remember, if you have a suggestion for music to play on Next Level, you can email me at any point in the week on the Classic FM website. Charlie says, "Hi Dan, I've just wrapped up my first year of uni with my first exhibition. I made a photo book with a page inspired by the game Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Games. I was wondering if you'd be able to play one of the songs from it. The series features lots of mini-games such as figure skating, rhythmic gymnastics, and synchronized swimming. My favorite piece of music has to be the 2012 opening theme. It's so grand and epic, I would love to hear you play it." Love this email from Charlie. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to play it especially for you next.
Classic FM.
Over 50s life cover from Post Office guarantees acceptance for 50 to 80-year-olds with no health checks and a gift card worth £125, plus 24/7 online GP access. It's never too late to start something new, like life cover or hitting the open road. Visit www.postoffice.co.uk/coverme. Offer ends 30th of March 2026. Minimum premiums apply. GP access is non-contractual and may be withdrawn anytime. Total payments could exceed payout.
Find me somebody to love.
The Dream Stock clearance sale ends soon. How do you beds feel?
We're comfortable with it.
Don't miss up to 40% off a range of stylish beds and comfy mattresses.
But we're only on sale till Tuesday, so, snooze you lose.
Dreams. Let us find you a bed that loves you back.
Hearty Food Co. Spaghetti. Price matched at only 28p for 500 grams at Tesco to create a traditional spaghetti bolognese. And now there's even more of your everyday favourites. Price matched to Aldi. Tesco. Every little helps. Serving suggestion price match 9th to the 6th pro rata. Visit GB Aldi. Check twice weekly. Excludes promos. Selected stores excludes Express and Northern Ireland. Details at tesco.com/Aldi price match.
Excuse me. Inflatable unicorn coming through. Ooh, why are you wearing that? Just got my last bit sorted at Post Office. Travel money card, currency, travel insurance. Got the passport sorted. I'm holiday ready. Next up, cocktails by the pool.
Get holiday ready with less faff. We can help with that. Pop into your local branch or search Post Office Travel. Travel money card issued by First Rate Exchange Services Limited, pursuant to licence by MasterCard International.
When it comes to retirement advice, the last thing you want is to be put in a bucket. Seen as this type of person, or that type of person. At Fisher Investments UK, we never put you in a bucket. We always tailor retirement advice that's just right for you. Fisher Investments UK, retirement advice that's as individual as you are. Learn more at fisherinvestments.co.uk. Investing involves the risk of loss. Fisher Investments UK is regulated by the UK Financial Conduct Authority.
For over 60 years, WWF have been working to protect and restore nature, so future generations have a world with thriving habitats and wildlife. You can make a difference by adopting a penguin from £5 a month, helping establish a network of marine protected areas. It's a huge challenge, but if we all act together, there is hope. Search WWF Adopt a Penguin and help bring our world back to life.
The Classic FM Music Teacher of the Year Awards are back.
With £20,000 worth of prizes for schools, thanks to Viking.
Visit classicfm.com.
Next Level with DanTDM.
On Classic FM.
Such a great theme. That was the opening theme from Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games, written by Koji Kondo. And that was the first time that track had been played on Classic FM, but not the first time we've played one of Koji Kondo's amazing compositions. I think this one stands up with the rest for sure. Now, you might be super sporty, but you might also be the type of person that prefers playing tennis or driving a racing car from the comfort of your living room. You might also be the type of person who likes going on walks at the weekends, which is basically the type of sport I do now with my kids. This is Mark Sparling's soundtrack for the indie game A Short Hike. Maybe not one if you're doing speed walking. That was Snow, Lots of Snow from A Short Hike, written by Mark Sparling. You're listening to my sports special here on Classic FM. The Great British Summer means loads of tournaments taking place. Royal Ascot happened last week, Wimbledon starts on Monday, and the Women's Euros are just around the corner. So to celebrate the races, I wanted to play something from the original Star Stable soundtrack. It's an online horse game where you get your own horse and together you explore the enchanting land of Jorvik. And to add to the competitive element, you can take part in races too. This is Bring on the Hurdles. That was Bring on the Hurdles from the original Star Stable soundtrack, written by Alex Bellinder and Jens Handel. Hi, if you're just getting here, I'm DanTDM, and we have about 10 minutes left together before Calm Classics. If you want to listen back to tonight's show, you can do that on Global Player. When I was thinking about hosting this episode all about sports, it made me think about the winners and losers of video games. So I thought it would be fun to celebrate some of the underdogs of the gaming world. Those characters just like sports stars who come out on top against all the odds. So to round up tonight's show, I want to play music for 3 of my favorite underdogs. And my first pick is Old Man from Zelda. He's my first underdog because he starts Link's very first adventure with the iconic line, "It's dangerous to go alone. Take this." You take the sword he gives you and then you're off to save the world. Without him, that just wouldn't be possible. I think that counts as underdog material. Here's the theme tune from The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. That was the main theme from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, written by Manaka Katauka. And next on Classic FM, my second underdog is Clank from Ratchet and Clank. This little robot has so many different gadgets, gizmos, and general advice for Ratchet as they adventure through dangerous planets. Without Clank, the journey to save the world would be much harder. What an incredible track. That was music from Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, written by Wataru Hokoyama and Mark Mothersbaugh. Final piece from me for tonight's sporting special, another underdog coming right up on Classic FM, and it's Kairi from Kingdom Hearts. Kairi is my third pick because she is Sora's right-hand girl, but isn't always in the spotlight. I feel like the story relies on her a lot, but she doesn't always get the screen time that she deserves. There wouldn't be a Kingdom Hearts game without her, so let's play her track from the game, written by Yoko Shimomura. More amazing music from Yoko Shimomura. And I've got to be honest, coming up with sports games that had orchestral music in the soundtrack was a bit of a challenge, but I think we've heard a really great playlist tonight, and I really hope that you've enjoyed it. And because we're on a roll with this sporting energy, I hope you'll join next week for a show dedicated to the Lionesses. The Women's Euros kick off next week, so I want all of your suggestions for video games with amazing female characters. Send your ideas to me via classicfm.com. See you on Saturday at 9. Calm Classics is next.
Classic FM.
The Hilton sale is now on, so you don't have to book last year's hidden gem, which was hidden for a reason. Rustic charm, translation, no aircon, no Wi-Fi, and one goat. This year you booked your stay with Hilton. Spacious rooms, total relaxation. Let Hilton's sale save your summer. Get away with up to 20% off. Book now at Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay. Offer subject to availability. Terms and conditions apply.
Mum has always loved pottering in the garden and her daily walks with the dog. But when life became more challenging, especially after her fall, I couldn't always be there. That's when we turned to Country Cousins. Within 24 hours, they introduced us to Mum's wonderful live-in carer. Now, with the extra support, Mum's safe and happy, and we've all felt looked after, including the dog.
For over 60 years, Country Cousins has been matching families with exceptional live-in carers. Search Country Cousins online today.
Oh, bad traffic. Great news, isn't it? More time in the car. Joy. Maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you don't drive a Lexus NX yet. But when you do, you'll see the positive of peak hour, the delight in a detour, the love of the long way. The Lexus NX plug-in hybrid. Experience amazing before you arrive.
This is the sound of a happy vintage cash cow customer.
It's so easy. It's really so easy. You just pop the stuff in a box and send it away. I'm already on box 3. Well, I'm going to save the money. I'm popping it all in a little pot and saving up for a holiday. It's a brilliant way of spring cleaning.
Everyone's discovering the easy way to sell your unloved valuables in one go with Vintage Cash Cow. Turn your old gold, watches, jewellery, cameras, silver and much more into cash. Start today at vintagecashcow.co.uk.
Daniel liked how easy it was to transfer his old pensions to PensionBee.
I've had quite an eclectic career, and with that I'd amassed pensions from a couple of different providers. I signed up using the app. It was really straightforward. I was able to give them a couple of key facts about each of my pensions, and then PensionBee did the rest of the work for me.
At PensionBee, we believe that when your pension is in a good place, you're in a good place. Download the app or go to pensionbee.com. and be pension confident. When investing, your capital is at risk.
Fancy a fever tree? And vodka? Yes, vodka, not gin. Because this is Fever Tree Mexican Lime Soda. Yes, soda, not tonic. With Mexican lime and Japanese yuzu for a zesty, refreshing lime soda that's just sweet enough. Delicious with vodka or on its own. Fever Tree Mexican Lime Soda. Mix with the best. Now that hits the spot.
This is Classic FM. From Global.
How do you fancy a soothing Saturday night soundtracked by the most chill music ever created? Sounds pretty good, right? That's exactly what's in store between now and 1. In fact, before 11 alone, Brahms, Mitchell and Offenbach will join us. But we start with Rachmaninoff from your Hall of Fame.